But I remember at the end of the session, he was really frustrated. Like, well, nothing I could have done to carry. Like, the Kaisa got fed, nothing I could have done, right? Now I'm gonna zoom out the camera, and you tell me if there's a better play than this invade. So now that you zoom out the camera, look at this. He had no idea. So why are we going to talk about this topic? So basically I coach for a living, and when you do that, after like thousands and thousands of sessions, you start to identify that pretty much everyone in Oilo has more or less the same mistakes, right? And when people say something like, well, my decision making is bad, and then you see the rank, you pretty much can exactly guess what they're doing right or wrong. And basically, a lot of coaching is about telling the player what they think they know and they don't know, and vice versa. And a lot of people think they are bad at something, but they are bad at another thing, right? So, for example, I see this a lot when I coach ADCs, and they tell you how they're bad at, I don't know, like, oh, late game macro. But in reality, you see them play, and their clicks are very bad, their farm is very bad, their positioning is bad, but they don't know that. So, a lot about this, I guess, talk will be about teaching you what things in League you think you know, or you don't even think about, and actually you don't know. It's something that I notice a lot, especially when I coach somebody live, because when I coach somebody live, I see the game through their eyes. And when you do that, it feels really bad, really claustrophobic. If you ever get to Challenger and then you coach somebody below Master or below Grandmaster, it feels quite claustrophobic. That's a word I always use. Like you want to see more, you want to know more, but you just can't, okay? So I'm not going to call this map awareness because it goes well beyond that, okay? So the first thing I want to start saying is that this happens a lot when somebody will go like, excuse my handwriting, okay? But somebody will go like, I want to get coached because my decision making is bad, okay? They tell you that the decision making is bad. I see this a lot. When somebody asks for coaching, they have like a little text field that they can input why they are asking for coaching. And a lot of the time they will say, well, I want to improve my decision making or my macro. The thing is, there's two things that make a good decision, right? You can have a bad decision because you're like dumb or whatever, and you just don't have the IQ, I guess, or like the, you know, the brain power to make a good decision. But that's not very common. The other way you can make a bad decision, and this is in life in general, not just in League, is by having bad information prior to making the decision. So if you see sports, for example, you will see a lot of sports in which a guy is like right, so in football or soccer, whatever you want to call it, the guy will be right in front of the goal, and instead of passing the ball to the other guy and scoring, he will like kick and miss, right? And you go like, oh my god, he's so dumb, he didn't pass the ball. Well, a lot of the time he's not dumb, he's like, didn't see the other guy, okay? So this is the same. A lot of the time when I'm coaching someone, they think they're making a really bad decision because of being dumb or whatever, like, oh my god, I don't know where to go. And in reality, it's just that they are like playing super tunnel visioned, okay? Chances are you're not actually dumb. Like most of you here, like go to college or have a job or go to school or whatever, like you're not dumb, okay? So how come you keep making bad decisions? Well, it's just because you play without information, right? So let's start with this. So it's more than just looking at the map. That's why I don't call it I don't call it map awareness. I call it spatial awareness, meaning from space, okay? Also, every coach will have a couple buzzwords that they use to sound smarter. This is mine, okay? Well, you think... So, well, you think having map awareness is enough, it is not, okay? And this is the only part that will have a lot of text, so don't fall asleep. I know it's late in Europe. If you want to see a game like the best players, you need to have like a zoomed out or satellite type view of the game. So what do I mean by this? If you ever think about the game like a low-elo player, what low-elo players do is they only see the game like zoomed in into their champion, or even if they move the camera, they only see a game zoomed in into that place, right? So what do I mean satellite type view? I don't know if you ever saw how scripters and cheaters play the game when somebody's scripting, but one of the things that the script does when you cheat is it zooms the game out. If this is one of the hacks, that is like good proof that if this is a hack, then zooming out is actually very important, right? But we cannot do it in game, sadly, right? It's just it's a hack. You cannot do it. I'm not talking about map, okay? I'm talking about the camera itself, trying to zoom out. Actually, let me show you exactly what I mean. Let's pull up a random game in League. So basically, but you get what I mean, right? If you ever saw somebody scripting in League, they can zoom out a lot, and that gives you like insane map awareness or spatial awareness. It gives you like insane situational awareness of where you are, where the enemy is, etc. You see ganks sooner. But also, the best part is that you stop seeing each individual place in League individually, and you start seeing the whole map like a unified thing. So you don't see like, oh, jungle and then mid and then top. You see like jungle, mid, top, like one thing, okay? I'm going to teach you how to do this, even though you can't. So let me log in, and this is what we're going to do. Red kicked me out for whatever reason, so I got to relog. Sorry about that. So the zoom is locked. How do we zoom further, okay? this is the buzzword we're gonna use. So think about Google Maps. So if you know how Google Maps works, it's like they don't have like one picture of the world that you can zoom out infinitely because the camera is so good. Okay, that's not how it works. The world is round. If it's only one picture, how do you see all of it, right? Okay, so the way Google Map works is it's a lot of tiny pictures, square pictures that they put together, and then when you zoom out, you see all the tiny pictures together, right? So I have my Saji Smurf ready here. So we're gonna show you what I mean. So if you go to a custom game, so I like to do custom games when I do this so I can add bots, but for now we're gonna just do practice tool and we're not gonna do anything else. And we're gonna do just an Ash or whatever, okay? So basically the difference between moving the camera low elo and high elo is not that just high elo players are gonna be moving the camera more, but also high elo players are gonna be moving the camera in a way that brings it back to the champion. So when Faker is playing here, okay, and he moves the camera, there's like three main differences between how a low elo player moves the camera and high elo. So the high elo player, if you wanna move the camera like a high elo player, we're gonna do three things. One, we're gonna move it more often, okay? Obviously, but this one you already know. But two, okay, we're gonna move it no matter what. So what do I mean by that? So low elo players only move the camera when they wanna see something in particular. So for example, there's a fight, you move the camera to that fight. Whereas in high elo, we move the camera even when there's nothing that we think that we will find. Because that's the whole point. If you don't move the camera, how do you know that there's nothing you wanna see? Faker will be moving the camera even when there's nothing going on, because who knows what you will find. You just wanna have all the information in the game to keep making decisions. And the third one is that in high elo, we will move the camera back and forth really fast. So low elo players, what they will do is they will keep the camera on their champion a long time, and then when something happens in the jungle, let's say there's an invade here, they will do this for like a long time, and then come back. Okay? So that's really low elo. High elo, what we will do, and I don't have F keys here because there's no team, so I'm gonna do it with the mouse. But in high elo, you will do something like this, right? So that's much better. So why is this better? Because the brain has something called object permanence, okay? So object permanence means that if you go back and forth really fast, your brain can actually piece those two images together and form a bigger picture, okay? This is how you zoom out, by object permanence. So you can see how if I do this, okay, if I move the camera here and here, I can kind of see like how the position of Ash relates to that and form like a bigger picture in my brain, even if I do this too. Have you ever seen like high-elo junglers gank lanes in Twitch, like on stream, and they do this? They don't keep the camera in the lane, right? So here I'm forming a bigger picture in my brain, right? This is sort of how, if you ever took a panorama picture with your phone, you see how like you like pan the camera and it forms a bigger picture. This is the same. So yeah, the main advice for this is that you need to use spacebar to center the camera back on champion. It's really powerful, right? So we will do this a lot, right? No, the dummies, sadly the dummies don't let you F1, F2, F3, but I can do it in a custom game after this, don't worry. I wish the dummies let you, but yeah, the dummies don't let you. If you add dummies, it doesn't let you F1, F2, F3. Look, I'm pressing it, it doesn't do anything. If you can write this down, so I'm gonna write it in the chat actually, so we're gonna move the camera. So don't look for a reason to move the camera. This is the worst thing you can do. So why do you not look for a reason to move the camera? Because if you look for a reason to move the camera, you're assuming that you know what you're gonna move the camera, and that's not how it works. Like, the minimap will lie to you a lot. The minimap won't tell you the HP, the levels, who's winning a fight, cooldowns flash, minion wave state, minion HP, etc. I can keep going. So it's not like you don't know any of this. So how do you know if you should move the camera or not? You just don't, okay? There's a lot of things, even for jungle tracking. So if you want to track the enemy jungle, if I move my camera, I can see the red and blue of duration. I can see the CS if I press tab as well. There's a lot that the map doesn't give you, okay? The map is just one of many things that you need to do. What are your thoughts on using toggle for camera instead of hold? So I'm gonna go into that in the end of the session. I actually have a section for that. So wait a little bit and we go. So you want to be able to look at many places at once without stopping your own actions also. That's the other thing. So at the end of this session, we will have a drill that I will teach you. And the idea is everybody knows how to move the camera. That's the thing. I can get an iron or bronze player here and I will make them move the camera and they will do it, right? It's not that hard, just click on the map, right? So the issue is that in a real game, they don't do it. And trigger warning, this is going to be my second coach buzzword. And you know this concept of like mental stack. Basically, imagine your mind has like a RAM. How many things you can keep in your mind at once, right? And then you have like another stack of the subconscious. So this is what you keep in your mind consciously. This is what you keep in your mind subconsciously. So example, if you drive a car, if you're a good driver, in the conscious you keep like the other cars and the road signs and things around you, and in the subconscious you're like the stick, the steering wheel, the pedals. Okay, so the issue with lower elo players is that they use the conscious mind a lot. They don't have anything in the subconscious naturally. This happens as well with drivers. If you're a new driver, you have to pay attention to everything. Like you gotta even pay attention to the stick, so you can't really. It's too much, right? So the idea of the drill that I will teach you is that low elo players don't move the camera a lot, mainly because their mental stack is too full to do it. They are too busy. Their mind is too busy with the farming, with the trading. Okay, so they can't pay attention to everything at once. So that's why they don't move the camera so much. So the drill that I will teach you is to move the camera while doing something else. So if you can move the camera while doing something else, then you like move it to the subconscious, and then it becomes easier. Okay. Yeah, the locked camera thing is really bad. We're gonna go into that, okay? So basically, chess will be very hard to play if you are forced to only see one spot on the board, right? So you wanna keep track of all the pieces of the board at the same time. Imagine like you get well, what's the name of that guy that plays chess? Magnus Carlsen, yeah. Magnus Carlsen, and you try to make him play chess with only looking at 4 squares on the board. It's like impossible, right? Even though he's really good. So this is the same for me. Sometimes I will be coaching a student and they ask me, where should I go now, coach? And it's like, they keep the camera super locked on the champion. It's like, well, I don't know. I would have moved the camera here, so I don't know where you should go, right? If I get Magnus Carlsen here, best chess player in the world, and I show him 4 pieces, like 4 squares of the chessboard, what do you do now, Magnus? He's like, I don't know, dude, what? So playing like this, only looking at this, is kind of like playing like this, okay? So what low elo players will do a lot, I call it like flashlight playstyle, right? Like you just shine a flashlight on a single point in the board at a time. So imagine you want to see more of the board with this flashlight. There's 2 things you can do, right? Bring the flashlight out so you can see the whole board, but we can't do it in League, you can't zoom out. So you know how you can see the whole board even if the flashlight is really close like this? You can just shake your flashlight and see the whole board, right? This is equivalent to going back and forth with your camera, and you can build a big picture. So if I only show here, and then I only show here, and then only here, and then only here, it's really hard to know everything. But if I show like super fast, I move the flashlight like this. Of course, you don't do it in a real game, but you only do it in the important parts of the map. So you do like here, and then here, and then here. In your mind, you can kind of put all of this together, right? And you can play with much more information. So why camera though? Like, why am I putting so much emphasis in the camera? Like, because a lot of players, a lot of students come to me and they tell me, well, just look at the map, right? That's enough. I look at the map a lot. I play locked camera, but I look at the map a lot. So it shouldn't be an issue, right? Well, no, it is an issue. So I'm going to show you a video. So I want you to see this video. This is a good example of how the camera is really important. So this is a student I was coaching, okay? And I was coaching him live. And what happened this game? By the way, I see this a lot when I coach people, that they tell me, well, I have no idea how I could have won that game. There's nothing I could have done to carry. If you're ever playing like below master and you think there's nothing you could have done to carry, 9 times out of 10, it's just that you didn't see what you could have done to carry. And there probably were things. So this game, for example, the enemy Kaisa, and you can see her in bot lane there, the blue Kaisa, she got like super fed, like 20 kills, 15 kills, I don't remember, it was a long time ago, and she carried, right? And the Amumu didn't do that bad, but I remember at the end of the session, he was really frustrated, like, well, nothing I could have done to carry, like the Kaisa got fed, nothing I could have done, right? And I initially kind of agreed, because when I coached him, I saw his point of view. But then we went to a replay, and look at what we saw. So here he's invading, by the way. So this Amumu is the red team Amumu. Okay, so let me give you a game state here. The enemy Udyr shows stop. So the enemy Udyr shows stop here. Amumu is stealing, went here and is stealing the bot side, right? Because the enemy Udyr shows stop. And this is a couple splits ago. So this is the old map, just in case, okay? And because Udyr shows stop, he goes for the invade because he sees, if you look at the map, okay, if you only look at the map, this looks like a good invade. I would say any challenger player would say that this invade is good, if you just look at the map. Because we have Prio bot lane, Udyr is top, we have no camps anywhere else except here. So this looks pretty solid, right? Okay. So let's move the camera now and see if this invade is good and what we're doing, okay? So first of all, if he had played with correct information, not only camera, but he had pressed tab, he would have counted the Udyr CS and he would have known that there's no way that these raptors are up. So he would have passed straight to here instead of raptors. Secondly, this Q, he wouldn't have casted it, because if he saw Udyr, he would have seen whether he has blue or red buff, and then, you know, for example, here Udyr could have only blue buff. That means that he started red, that means that red is gone, maybe, something like that, right? But that's not that bad, right? It's whatever. He wasted a Q, he passed wrong, okay, whatever. But now he starts invading this, right? Now I'm gonna zoom out the camera, okay? Like I said, I'm gonna zoom out the camera. And you tell me if there's a better play than this invade, right? So now that you zoom out the camera, look at this. He had no idea, right? But that's the thing. When I was coaching him, I didn't know this either. So you see how me as a challenger player looked like a freaking bronze because I didn't tell him to go dive this. But I didn't know because he's not moving the camera. So when I coach you, I can only see what you see. So you see how even a challenger player will make a bad decision if you give him no information. It's like the chess thing. If I get Magnus Carlsen, best chess player in the world, and show him like half of the board, ask him to make a play, he might like totally int because like he's not seeing the rest. And this is what I mean when I say like you shouldn't have a reason to move the camera. Because if you just look at the map, you get like cheated a lot. You get like deceived, okay? You think like, well, there's no reason. They're under tower, we're fine. But then when you move the camera, you see things. Do you have smooth camera enabled? No. It adds input lag. So no, don't do it. So smooth camera, what it does, it makes the moving the camera more cinematic, and it's for replays, for pro play, for like, so that the replay looks more cinematic. Okay. So you see how the correct play here was obviously, this is a Kaisa with 1 HP and no flash. So look at this, right? This is so int. And he was crying, saying that there's nothing he could have done to carry, and he was really frustrated, right? Well, no shot, you don't know how to carry. So this is a Kaisa with no flash. Look, she flashed. So no flash on Kaisa. No mana on Yumi, okay? And this is Yumi back in the day, so like this is really bad, Yumi no mana. And the Amumu, I don't know if you know what Amumu passive is, guys, but he can tank the minion wave without receiving any damage, almost. So if he came behind the tower here and tanked the upcoming enemy minion wave, then the minion wave crashes under tower, and then we tower dive and kill both of them, right? And by the way, Udyr is top side, Wukong is mid, Cho'Gath is also top. There's absolutely nobody that can help here. So this is guaranteed double kill. Like guaranteed, right? There's nothing the enemy can do. Absolutely guaranteed double kill. You can put Gumayushi Karya here on Yumi and Kaisa, and they will die anyway. Can it be also a problem with red ball and pinks? Yes. So if I was coaching the Ashe or the Twitch, I would have told them that they inted by not pinging, that they need to ping a lot and communication is important. I hate when coaches say that you shouldn't ever communicate. That's really bad advice. However, here we're coaching the Amumu point of view of Amumu, right? And we can clearly see how, because of bad camera movement. Yeah, but this wouldn't even be a dive, would it? Like, I think any Iron player, even any player that played late for more than like a couple weeks will go for this kill. It's just that he didn't see it, okay? He just literally didn't see it. And you know what's even more funny? The Ashe and Twitch bot lane is not pinging because they are not seeing that Amumu is not seeing, right? Both of them are looking at their own tiny patch of grass, right? So they're only seeing this, and he's only seeing this. So nobody's like putting both together, right? How they link to each other. So what ends up happening is that none of them die. This is painful to watch. So you see now, right? So let's go back to the explanation. Basically, let's talk about the locked versus unlocked thing, okay? So in reality, can you reach Challenger with the camera locked? Like, the important part is not whether it's locked or unlocked, it's to move it a lot, okay? So you need to move the camera a lot. However, some players, people always tell me, oh, but this guy reached like, you know, high elo with the camera locked. And my answer is, yeah, the fact that only one guy out of like 900 does it with camera locked means that probably camera locked is not that good. However, it is not that locking the camera is bad. What is bad is not moving it a lot. So you gotta understand how the brain works. So if your camera is locked by default, like this is locked by default. The thing is, the brain is lazy, especially for players that are not like in Pro Tiers, Challenge or whatever. So the brain always wants to do the least amount of actions possible, okay? If any of you is in the IT industry and you know about UI, UX design for websites, you know amount of clicks is really important for getting your website known or whatever. For example, a website will always try to minimize the amount of clicks that it takes you to log in or to sign up. Because if it takes you 5 clicks to sign up, people will sign up less than if it takes you 4 clicks to sign up. Okay, it's just how the brain works. So the same goes for camera. If you have the camera locked, moving it and panning the camera, which is really important, like doing this, it's going to be 2 actions, right? It's unlock and then move it. Whereas if you have it unlocked by default, it's only 1 action. It's just move it. The issue is that for people that are not moving the camera enough, unlocking it, in my experience, will help a lot with moving it more often because the brain will get less lazy, right? There's less actions that you gotta do to move the camera. So the way you should do it, and to get used to this, you're gonna have the drill, and also remember that when you're getting, if you play camera locked, if you wanna get used to unlocking your camera, it's gonna take like a week, and you shouldn't play ranked in your main account while you're getting used, because you're gonna like play really, really, really bad. Okay, so you gotta get used to it. However, how do we get used to it? So here's how it works. Okay, I'm gonna go to a custom game. And when I add bots, I prefer to add like melee bots, so you can do the drills a bit easier and they don't bother you too much. So just melee champions. Do you think everyone can reach Challenger? I don't think there's anything like intrinsically genetic about who can reach Challenger. I just think that a lot of things that people call talent and being just naturally good are things that... So for example, right? I'm gonna give you my story. So I'm haloing like a lot of games. I was Immortal 3 in Valorant. I played to OSU World Championships. And I also was like Grandmaster in Overwatch. And people think, oh, you're just good at games. I don't think that's true. What happened is that I was playing competitive games since I was 9 because of my brother. And he taught me a lot. So it is true that I have an unfair advantage, but the unfair advantage is the environment that I was raised, not the genetics. So the issue is if you didn't have that environment... So I coach some people that League of Legends is their first or second competitive game ever, and it's like they are right now where I was at 9 years old. But my brain was much more plastic and malleable at 9 years old, so they may never get to that point, right? So it's not that it's talent, it is effort, but when you start matters, right? That's my opinion. So we're gonna talk about a little bit about the camera here. So there's 3 ways of moving the camera, okay? So first of all, we should unlock the camera, okay? And this will take you a while to get used to. I'm sorry. If it will be uncomfortable, you will lose more games. So please, if you play locked and you unlock it today, I need you to do 2 things. Listen to this. 1, don't go back to locked because you like destroy all of your progress. And 2, don't play ranked in your main account until you finally get used to the camera unlocked. In my experience with students, you get used to in around 5 to 7 days, okay? So one thing you can do is like you just press Y to unlock it and never press Y again. If you want, if you're having the habit of pressing Y, you just come to camera control and unpin the Y here, like just remove it, okay? So now the next thing I want you guys to do is you can do this in the client, you don't need to be in game. You come to hotkeys, and this is how it is by default. See F1 here. So what we're gonna do is remove this, select self, you're gonna remove it. Why is the frame rate low? That might be your phone. So you're gonna remove this, and you're gonna go F1, F2, F3, F4 on select LI 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? So tell me if you can do that, guys. No, so space needs to be center camera on champion. By the way, I don't know what difference there is between select self and center camera on champion. They're the same thing. Yeah, but yeah, I prefer it here. But they're the same thing, basically. It both highlight. Look, this is center camera. It highlights, see? I think they're exactly the same. Okay, anyway. But you go F1 through F4, okay? Why do we go F1 through F4? Because if you need to go to F5, in your keyboard there's like a gap in F5. Do you see that gap? We don't want that gap, okay? Because you want to be able to reach your F keys. So I will do something that you will not do. I broke my old keyboard last week. I spilled water on it, so I don't have F keys in this keyboard. So just for this demonstration, I will use the numbers. But don't do this, okay? This is just my keyboard that is broken, okay? How do F keys work? If you press tab, basically F keys will go from top to bottom, ignoring you. So in this case, F1 is going to be Nidalee, F2 is going to be Tariq, F3 is Ziggs, F4 Leona. What if you want Ziggs on F1? You just move it like this. Now Ziggs is gonna be F1. Now Leona is F1. Now Tariq is F4, okay? That's why this exists. In case you were wondering why can you move people here, is for the F keys. Usually in a real game, if I'm the mid lane, I'm gonna be here. And my top lane is gonna be in the F1, my jungle is gonna be in the F2. So here, I go to top lane, I go to jungle, I go to bot lane, I go to support, okay? So top lane, jungle, bot lane, support. If you're the top lane, it's gonna be jungle, mid lane, bot lane, support. So you just goes from top to bottom, ignoring you, okay? So far you follow me? How the F keys work? One really important thing about the F keys is to not overuse them in terms of how long you keep the F key there. So any challenger and good player will not do this. That's really bad, right? What we will do is this. Okay? So that was really important. That's why it's really important to have your spacebar, because what you can do, which is really nice, is you use your thumb to bring it back and your, I don't know, like ring finger, pinky, whatever is comfortable for you, to put the camera up. So you just do this, it's really fast, right? So if you saw that clip from Faker, I think Jared sent that clip to me. So see, what we're talking about, right? So I'm gonna tell you something about this clip. It looks impressive, but in real life it's less impressive than it looks here, because he's playing on a 240 or 360 hertz monitor, whereas the camera is like 30 FPS. So in the camera it looks like a couple of frames, but in real life he's moving the camera a bit longer, okay? It's like back and forth, right? So why back and forth? Because we have, again, object permanence in the brain, and see how he does repetitive movements. He does many times to the same player, like that. So when you do that, in your brain, you can actually like put both of them together, okay? You don't have to do it as fast as Faker. You can do like that and it's fine, okay? But I just want you to bring it back as soon as you can, so that you don't miss out on what you are doing. So basically, the rule is you want to move the camera as much as possible without missing anything where you are. So without missing farm, without getting caught, without eating a skill shot. So the camera shouldn't hurt anything that you're doing. So now let's learn about how to practice this. And there's three types of camera movement. By the way, the Cyrus is giga tryharding against me. Holy shit, get out. So there's three types of camera movement. We have F keys. So let's write it down. We have F keys, we have click on map, and we have panning. So I want to talk a little bit about your mouse settings before. Somebody asked what speed I use. Personally, I like to use 60 here on camera mouse move speed. If it's higher than that, it's a bit too chaotic. And if it's lower than that, I like the issue with panning the camera is that you keep your mouse far away from the champion, right? And you don't want to keep your mouse far away. So if it's 60, it's like enough to do that really fast, right? I would say it has to be between 55 and 70, usually. And the camera locked mode should be on fixed offset here. Smooth camera off. So the way this is gonna work is, depending on what you want to do in the moment, all three types of camera movement are necessary. For example, F keys. Can anyone tell me what's the bad thing about F keys if I just move my camera looking at teammates like this? So if the enemy is doing Baron and I want to see the Baron, can I use F keys? F keys only look at teammates, it doesn't look at enemies, okay? That's the thing that is bad. So usually, F keys are going to be used more in early game. You know why F keys are more used in early game? Because early game is when your teammates are close to the enemies. So you can see both teammates and enemies with F key. But if I'm late game, I'm never going to see enemies with F keys, right? Because, yeah, they're not close to me. Clicking on the map, the good thing is that you can see enemies, okay? So if I click on the map, if like I have a ward on Voidgrubs and I want to see a Voidgrubs, I can just do that, right? That's really good. So clicking on the map is really important and useful. And we do the same. We just, let's say that I want to gank bot lane here, right? If I want to gank bot lane, there's no allies in bot lane right now. So I gotta click on the map and do that, right? Okay, I would do it like that. See that? And then panning is also really important, because panning is what helps you position well in a fight. My students that don't pan the camera position really bad, because if you just do this and there's a teamfight here, you don't know how close you can get to the fight. So panning is just doing this, so you keep your champion not in the center, and while laning is really important, see? So when I'm laning, it's really important for me to pan the camera. Let me level up abilities. When laning, it's really important to pan the camera so that I can see myself related to the enemy, etc. And you will like pan the camera, whatever, and then you bring it back, right? Also, when you're going for a gank initially, so when you're going for the gank in bot lane, you do this, and then you put the camera mid to see your own wave, right? But then when you're close to the gank, you can already start doing this, right? So now you see how close you are to the gank, right? Yeah. So see how I'm looking at everything, right? And I can see mid lane, I can see top lane, whatever, right? Or bot lane, sorry. Bro, these new bots are actually really good. Look, he's doing the fake. He's dead. He's dead. Okay. So, I'm looking at bot, looking at top. Okay. So you see how you can look at mid, top, bot, and the idea is bringing it back to your champion really quickly. Okay. Let's pull up a random stream, right? Let's pull up Agurin stream. Just gonna type that in YouTube in my second monitor. Okay. Here's perfect. Look, I never watched this video ever. Okay. I just pulled up the video, but you can see this is how we play in Halo. So look at how he's looking at mid and back to him instantly, right? With spacebar. And how do I know he's pressing spacebar and it's not locked by default? Because he has this circle below him. So that circle means that he's pressing spacebar. But you see how he looks back and forth? And you see how he's looking at mid lane despite not being any obvious reason to look at mid lane, right? But it's just a good habit, because you never know if there will be a reason. And see how he's pressing tab as well? So we're trying to get all the information possible. Looking at the lanes, looking at the other places in the map, pressing tab. And that's even though he has nothing to see, right? And see how he's bringing it back to a champion really fast. He's not keeping it where he's moving it, right? So, look again, the map, click, go back, click, go back. See, look at all the lanes, go back. Click, look at all the lanes, go back. I'm gonna teach you now the drill. We gotta restart the game. Again, try to use melee enemies. By the way, if this was a real solo queue enemy comp, I would dodge. Holy moly. Do you think it can be distracting if you do too much? Well, that's what this drill is gonna teach you. How to not get distracted and how to be able to do it without losing focus, okay? So what you're gonna do is pick the champion of your preference. It doesn't matter which one, just something that you're comfortable with, a champion that you like, your main, whatever, and you're gonna go mid lane, okay? And you're gonna buy Cole. So we buy Cole here. Okay, so why are we buying Cole? Because if you remember what I said earlier, I said that a good player should be able to move the camera without losing other things. So what I said is that low elo players can move the camera, they just don't do it, because if they moved the camera, they would lose minions, or lose a trade, or get hit by skill shots, or get caught and die. That's why they don't move the camera, okay? So, you're gonna learn today how to move the camera, but the main focus of this drill is not gonna be moving the camera, right? The main focus of this drill is gonna be farming, but the rules is that you gotta move the camera while farming. So that's the interesting part. The farming is gonna be the primary thing, the moving the camera is gonna be the secondary. So then what's gonna happen is, by looking at how well you're farming, you can guess how well comfortable you're with moving the camera, okay? So this is the drill. We're gonna put ourselves in mid lane, and this is Soraka Jax, so we're gonna put like Soraka here. So now it's 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? So the rules are simple. Rule number 1, you're not allowed to stand still. Rule number 2, every time you farm a minion correctly, you're gonna press a random F key and then bring back the camera to you. And rule number 3, you're gonna write down how long it took you to finish the call in minutes. So for example, minute 10:34, I don't know, okay? So anytime I last hit a minion, I'm gonna move my camera, so there, okay? And I'm not allowed to stand still, okay? So this is the initial drill. And you're gonna write down how long it takes you to finish the call. Can anyone guess why I'm doing it after killing a minion? Right, it's building the habit so that in a real game, if you move the camera before killing a minion, if I do it now, right? If I move the camera now, well, I missed a minion, right? So you wanna move the camera after killing a minion. So this is, you're learning something called downtimers, okay? If you saw the Augurin gameplay moving the camera, one thing you might have noticed is that Augurin is gonna move the camera in the downtimes of the jungle. So for example, he moved the camera before the red buff spawned, he moved the camera when he had no cooldowns and he was just out-attacking the red buff, and then he moved the camera between the red and the cracks. So these are the downtimes that you can move the camera. So for a laner, I'm gonna move the camera in between each minion, right? So basically you're gonna keep doing this until you finish the call. And when you finish the call, you're gonna write it down like this. You type enter and you type /n, finish call. I don't know, I finished it at 10:34, okay? So now what's gonna happen is if you go to your League of Legends folder and you go to my notes, here, finish call 10:34, okay? You just do that every time, and then every day you should do it like faster and faster, right? So if you manage to do this faster every day, it means you're improving your camera control, because the rules are simple. 2 rules, okay? Really simple rules. Never stand still and move camera and bring it back. It shouldn't be a problem that they're that far away. You gotta get used to that. Otherwise, just put them on. Guys, if you have like small hands, if you have small Yordle hands, what you can do is just put them on the numbers, and then your items, just put the 2 items that you use the most on something else. I don't know, you can put your item on like, something you can do is put your item on V, for example, that you don't use it for anything. And then you can put your camera on 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, do that. If you have Yordle hands, guys, just go 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then in the items, you don't use all of your item slots. So the 2 that you use, for example, potion and pink ward or whatever, just put them on something else, right? Like V and C, I guess. Or a mouse button, like mouse button 4, for example, you can use mouse button 4. I wouldn't recommend it, but if you have really small hands and this is gonna make you move the camera more, you can do that, okay? So you can do 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know, your potion on G and I don't know, like GH, I don't know. You get the point. It's up to you. You use H for H is the word, right? H is to tell people that this is worth it. But yeah, you get the point. You can build a habit just by doing the drill, okay? So remember, guys. So that's number 1 drill. Now I'm gonna teach you the second difficulty of the drill. So that's difficulty number 1. For difficulty number 2, you're gonna do the same exact drill with call and everything. But this time, you're gonna separate the waves into 3. Every time a cannon dies, okay, every time a cannon dies, you're gonna swap. So the first time you're gonna be moving with F keys, okay? So I'm gonna move my camera with F keys. Okay, so every time I last hit a minion, I'm gonna move with an F key. See how when there's many minions, you can't remove the camera. Okay. So move my camera with my F keys. Bro, stop. So move my camera with F keys. Okay. So now when cannon comes, after cannon dies, I'm gonna change. I'm not gonna use my F keys anymore. He's BMing me. Get out. When cannon comes, I'm gonna change. So now when this cannon dies, instead of using the F keys, I'm gonna start using my click. Okay, so let's kill the cannon. Okay, so now I kill the cannon. Instead of F keys, I'm gonna use mouse on the map, okay? Random mouse on the map and move the camera. Random mouse on the map and move the camera. Random mouse on the map. Bro, get out. Okay, and move the camera. And now, when the next cannon dies, you're gonna change to panning. So now when the next cannon dies, I'm gonna do this. Kill a minion. And pan the camera and bring it back. And I'm not standing still, okay. Pan the camera, bring it back. Pan the camera, bring it back. On the camera, bring it back, okay? After the next cannon dies. And now when the next cannon dies, you go back to F keys again, okay? So you divide in 3. You do F keys on cannon number 1, click on cannon number 2, and panning on cannon number 3. And then you do it again. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1. Yeah, it's to get used to doing all of them. To build the habit of doing all of them. Because F keys alone are not enough, okay? Especially if you play a carry role, panning the camera is super important because it gives you positioning. So somebody's saying, in the time I pan, I get killed by a Silas. That's why what you need to learn to do is to move the camera and bring it back really fast, which is what I said at the beginning of the session. Remember that we're not doing this. Okay, this is really low elo. What we're doing is this, right? See how I got stunned by Tarek because of what I did. Thank you, Tarek, for proving my point. Instead, we're doing this, so now I can't get stunned by Tarek, right? Because I'm looking. That's why the spacebar is so important. If your mouse gets outside the screen, you need to click out of the screen and then click in the screen again and it fixes. You get the point? You understand the drill? So any junglers here? Do you need to know the drill for junglers? We don't discriminate against junglers. Actually we do, but junglers get buffed every patch, nobody bats an eye. ADC gets an XP buff, everybody loses your mind. Okay, so... Bro, he picked my Amumu, no shot. I can't go Amumu anymore. So the key thing is learning when to ban. So what I was teaching you guys is about the downtimers. After killing a minion or when the enemy missed a skill shot, right? So now I'm gonna teach you the downtimes in the jungle, okay? So what we're gonna do, by the way, the new skin, the new like Lee Sin rework looks nice. Is we're gonna use 2 or 3 downtimes, okay? We're gonna pan the camera or move the camera in 3 downtimes. So how are we gonna move the camera? With F keys. So again, you're gonna practice the same again. You're gonna do 1 run with F keys, 1 run with panning, 1 run with clicking, okay? But you're gonna do it only in the downtimes. What's the downtimes in the jungle? Well, there's 2 main ones. One is when you're walking from one camp to the other, that's a downtime. You can move camera. And the other one is when you're at the edge of the kiting and you can't kite anymore, right? So if I finish kiting here, see I'm not moving it yet, but now that I have no cooldowns and I finish kiting, I can move my camera all I want, right? Because I don't lose anything out of it. I can move my camera like that, right? Because I finished kiting. And now I'm going to the next camp. I'm still not moving my camera. Now I can move it, right? And now I'm not moving it anymore. And now I can move it again. Maybe I can click if I want. I bring it back, okay? So it's like you move it in the downtimers. So I'm not moving it now. So this is the same drill but for junglers, right? Now I can move it because I'm at the edge of the kiting. Now I can start moving it again. Okay. And see now that I'm... Every time at the edge of the kiting of the camp, I can move it. Or any time I'm between 2 camps. So now I can move it because I'm out of cooldowns. So if you do this with a champion that has less APM than Lee Sin, you can actually move the camera more. So if you're playing like an option, for example, you simply cast Q and nothing else. And then you can move the camera in the camps really easily, right? And now that I finish the camps, again, if you're walking from one camp to the other, never do this. This is really low elo, right? So you move, you see what's going on. This is how I would play it in real life. So you move the camera a little bit. Give it out, whatever. You can move the camera while going back and forth, right? And see how I'm panning it. So see how I'm looking at the game looks way easier when you play like this, right? You can see so much more. Look, I see that this guy is low HP. So now I can go gank him. Maybe it's not possible, but whatever. Oh, I threw it behind because I'm used to people dodging, but it's a bot, it's not gonna dodge. Okay. But you get the point, okay? You don't keep it here. You don't keep it here. You move back and forth. Okay? And this is how you get so much information about the game. So for example, in a real game, low elo player would have kept doing the scuttlecraft, whereas high elo player would see the gank possible on Darius, right? In my experience, people who say they do it all the time, it's actually they don't realize how much they still gotta do it. Because I feel like there's not much more you need to do to get like really high elo. Like if you're doing this a lot, it's so easy to get high elo because not only you play better, but you self-correct more. You see more of your mistakes, right? So you improve so much faster as well. I think I can leave you with one more example here. I want to leave you with two examples of how to utilize the vision. So this is a game that I was playing a Mumu in Grandmaster. It's not just camera, right? It's what I call CMT, which is like camera, map, tab. So you gotta do all three. For example, when you press tab, you can see the jungle CS, etc. So here, Rex is doing 3-camp bot. If you move the camera and press tab, you can see he has 12 CS and blue off. So you know exactly what comes here and what he's gonna do next, right? So here, for example, it's obvious he's gonna do Raptors. So moving the camera, like, look at this. So if you move the camera, first of all, I don't panic, and maybe a low elo player will panic, stop doing the Raptors and go mid because he thinks the mid lane is getting ganked. But if you move the camera, it's pretty obvious he's chilling. But then the other thing I want to show you is that because we see Rek'Sai by moving the camera, in the real game I was moving the camera, here I'm zooming out, same thing. You can see where he is, so what I do here is I stand still, right? So if you stand still, Rek'Sai passive doesn't see you. So see how Rek'Sai has no idea I'm still here. And I still don't move. We try to go in on him, but then look at this. Again, same thing, look. He has no idea, right? But I'm doing all of this because I'm looking at the game like this, zoomed out. And only when she gets out of the tunnel, I start moving, so she has no idea I'm here. And now look at what happened. If you look at the map, the Rek'Sai pinged Scuttlecrab and made Warwick go Scuttlecrab because she thinks I'm in Scuttle, but I'm actually here. She didn't see me because of moving while she's only unburrowed. And then it's free kill, right? This is like why moving the camera is so important as well. It's not just like looking for ganks. It's like I can piece all them up together, like zooming out, and you can go for way better plays, planning everything. You plan the position of your mid laner, the position of your jungler. Can Rek'Sai see the movements of jungle camps? Yeah, but like the Raptors were not moving either. They were standing still. And then the other one I want to show you is one of my first sessions ever when I became a full-time coach. Was this Zac OTP. And he was like Diamond 4 or something, and then he got master with the session because one of the issues he was having was that he wouldn't move the camera a lot. And there was a play that I just told him, okay, start moving the camera before engaging with your E. So this is how you used to play it, right? Looking at him only. So the issue is if you look at you like this, Zac is an engaged champion. So what he was doing super bad is that he was looking at like this, only at him. So he wouldn't pan the camera mid lane here to see if he should go and engage, for example, right? And that's super important. So then in the voice chat, I told him like, okay, move the camera, please. He starts moving the camera and seeing more engage. But see, this is really bad. He's not looking at the engage. So if he engages, it's going to be kind of late. But finally, he moves the camera. But it's kind of late anyway. See, they already commit. If he had moved the camera earlier, he wouldn't have gone bot lane and he would have gone here in the first place immediately. Now, it still works out and he gets like a pentakill here. But you can see how this is late. If you do this every game, it's going to be bad, right? And this is a Diamond player, right? Like even Diamond players have really bad camera movement. The issue is that they don't notice and you don't notice because by definition, what you're missing out is out of your vision. So how can you notice? It's like having a leak in your house. You don't know how much you're losing because you don't even know it's there, right? So here he finally moves the camera, but super late. All this time he should have been already moving the camera mid. Look at mid lane in the map. He should have been moving the camera mid already. All this time here. All around here. He finally moves it. And he goes kinda late. And he does end up getting the penta, but like the reason he was 2-4 is that he wouldn't move the camera ever throughout the whole game, right? If between Diamond and Challenger is better than Silver to Diamond, yeah. So I think a Challenger player in Diamond 4 will get better win rate than a Diamond 4 player in Silver. I think the difference is a bit bigger, yeah. That's why I don't like when people say like, oh, this top percent. Like, top percent doesn't mean much. So what we learned today is, number 1, you don't need a reason to move the camera. Number 2, you need to move the camera back and forth a lot to do like the mosaic in your brain and zoom out. And number 3, you don't have bad decision making, you have bad spatial awareness. So, for example, somebody looking at this play would have said, well, Zach has bad decision making. He should have gone mid lane 5 seconds sooner. He arrives late when his team gets engaged. Whereas the truth is, he would have known this if he moved the camera. He's not dumb. He doesn't have bad decision making. He has bad information taking. Okay, you gotta constantly take information to make decisions in this game. Otherwise, you don't know where to go. You don't know what to buy. Like, another thing that I see low elo players do a lot is that they will fight enemies without knowing what build and items and levels they have. Like, they will fight an enemy without pressing tab. So here, for example, if I was Zach, I would have pressed tab before jumping. Why would I press tab before jumping on Akali? Anyone knows? Yeah, you need to know if she has Zhonya's. So this is things that we do in Challenger. That, like, in Challenger, we never get caught off guard by somebody having Zhonya's because we always check. And it's not just Zhonya's. I want to know if she has like 2 items, that she has 3 items. Like, how much of a threat is her? I want to be able to calculate her damage. But he's not moving the camera at all. That's the issue. Or pressing tab at all. So press tab and move the camera is so important, okay? If you saw that Agurin clip, he was pressing tab the whole game. He was moving the camera the whole game. You gotta gather information in this game. So you're not dumb. You don't have bad decision making. You just don't know how to get information. That's my take.